Hey folks, hope this video finds you great. Hope this video finds you well. So it's happened. We finally got the automated dividend tracking portfolio workbook, whatever you want to call it, up and running. And I'm pretty happy about it. I sent it to some of the folks in the WhatsApp group. They haven't complained yet. So I think so far we're in the clear. And tonight I'm going to walk through the tutorial of what this actually does step by step, and actually just double check that I'm recording here. I believe I am. I'm also recording for you guys, so don't be alarmed if I might be going too quickly. Of course, this is live, so feel free to mention something in the comments section, which I have on the right hand side, but I will be walking through the portfolio itself step by step, so that way we can look at things. And at the moment I have the download somewhat empty, so I didn't want to give you guys all my information, what I have invested or what have you. So you'll see at the moment the only things that are really filled in are financials, a little bit of real estate, and healthcare, and what we can do, and also some cash and Fundrise or what have you. But what we can do is, what I was anticipating on doing rather, is saying we buy 100 shares of Exxon and walk through what exactly happens in the spreadsheet. So if you guys are interested in following along with me, the actual spreadsheet is available for download in the link in the top of the chat. But otherwise, you can follow along on the video, and if you decide to eventually download the workbook, you can always start from the beginning. This will be, like I said, live right now, but I'm also recording, and I will upload again, maybe with some editing, for folks to watch at a later time. Now, before we get jumping into this, what I hope that this portfolio does for everybody is really allow themselves to do what I've done and really look at the goals for themselves. And now I currently left my goals in here just because I think that it demonstrates something that you could do for yourself. And I'm not saying that you need to be following my goals. I believe that you honestly need to sit down, look at some of the videos I put in the past about what your true goals are, what you want to do with your portfolio, and input it in here. Some of these things as well you might not necessarily have. I have a bunch of accounts. You might only have one or two because you want to consolidate. I personally am crazy, so I spread my money absolutely everywhere. But you also have the ability to backtrack some of your old data as well if you want to look through old taxes or anything like that to see how you're tracking and how you're growing your portfolio month after month and year after year. So I think at this point we can just dive right into it, and I think what I might do is actually start with downloading the workbook on its own, and really kind to show what you might actually end up needing to do in order to open it. And I won't actually purchase it here per se, because that might actually have to make me go into my email and put in some personal information. So what I'll do is I'll kind of simulate it, and I also have it in my workbook folder that I have. And what I can do is go into my Apple iCloud, which is where you would upload this to, and then show you guys an idea. So with this, you get the workbook that I was just showing you. If you were to go to mattmoney.com or mattmoney.myshopify.com, good evening, and essentially go to the home page. You'll see the two spreadsheets. One is not automated, the other is for purchase. And with that, you'll get two things. You'll get the actual workbook, which I was already kind of showing here, and you'll also get a README file, so that way you can walk through this. And I will be doing this now, but just so you know, you'll have a little bit of a guide for you. It's not sophisticated or anything along those lines, but I think because it's not an Excel workbook and it's an Apple numbers workbook, some of you might be deterred because it's not Excel. I think most of the people that follow me are PC users. Now, not saying that because it's Apple numbers, you can't use this on a PC. I'm on a PC, as you can tell right now, and I have Apple numbers open. And you can see that it's as simple as going to iCloud.com. And you don't need an Apple account at the moment to do this. iCloud.com is free if you just want to set it up. It's like creating a Gmail account. You just open it up. You can actually create it with your Gmail account, tag it to your Gmail account, and what have you. So what I'm going to do now is just go into Apple numbers, and as if I downloaded it. But like I said, you'll get the README file. So this is all in the README file. You basically would, I have this already open, but let's go to upload. So what you would do is basically create your iCloud, and then within iCloud, if we just go to iCloud.com, we can start from scratch kind of. You'll see a bunch of different apps here, and some of them are calendar, some of them are mail. So this is basically your ability to look at all your Apple materials from a desktop, which is kind of nice. But all you would see here is this Apple numbers sheet, and you just click on it. It opens up basically the equivalent of Microsoft Excel on PC. And what it basically does is, I personally have two spreadsheets. This is the tutorial that we're walking through, this investments money V2, and then this is my actual portfolio here. And this is something that Apple has in here already, which I think is really simplistic, but it might also help some of you guys as well. What we're going to do is simulate uploading. So there's these 4 icons up top here. There's creating a new spreadsheet, there's creating folders, then there's also upload and delete. We're going to click on upload here, and we're going to look through the actual file. So what you'll see is that there's investments by Matt Money. You would then extract that, tell it where you want it to be, and what that actually does is it creates a open folder for you, and then you can just double click on this investments by Matt Money V2 numbers. In your case, you would probably open up this README just in case you don't have this video to follow along with, but it's just explaining exactly what we're doing right now. You would click on that, it would load just like this, and you see that it was updated 46 minutes ago, and I already have one very similar to this, V2, and now you could say it's V2 space 2 numbers. And so just for simplicity's sake, I'm going to delete this because I already have it open. Now, like I said, I wanted to walk through this and kind of explain interesting. Never received the spreadsheet for me to use with my dividends account. Yeah, the spreadsheet is available for download up at the top. Not sure if you were I'm confused on that one. So like I said, I want to simulate downloading 100 shares of ExxonMobil. So you can kind of see we have, before we jump into that, there are some instructions throughout the workbook itself. So pre-read, so you might want to look at some of those things. There's some legends and keys for you to look at for cells that you should or should not change. And then just like you've seen in the past, there's an overview, the dividends received, goals, and then your monthly dividends. And so we'll start it off here with actually walking through this part of the pre-read. So there are multiple tables in here for multiple different accounts. You can enter or change the names as you see fit. I have things for brokerage account, Roth IRA, but I also have things in there for like Fundrise, Cardone Capital. You might not have those things. I wouldn't recommend deleting them. Maybe I would just change them to account number 4 or 5, because in the future you might actually use them and they're already connected. So instead of erasing them and them having to reconnect, you might as well just keep them. So that way, if you do decide to open up a 3rd account or 4th account, it's already connected and it'll work through the spreadsheet. Things that are automated are these white and gray lines. So these things here. And the only 5 things that you'll mostly need to change are this symbol in this sector. And you'll change this anytime you buy or sell a share originally. So once you purchase this and fill this in, like XOM for Exxon, for instance, and you have energy here, you'll most likely not ever need to change that again unless you sell the document, right? Or you sell the shares, yeah? And that's highlighted in this more grayish here. And then you have the more shares input. So you'd most likely be playing in this space, the shares original, shares now, how much you paid. And the reason being is maybe you are reinvesting your dividends. Like in my Bryn Mawr Bank Corp, I purchased 200 shares, I reinvested dividends. And so you're seeing these fractional shares here. Bank of Nova Scotia had 100 shares, I've reinvested. You're seeing these fractional shares here. And so what you're basically going to be doing is hopefully not having to keep track of the price or keep track of the dividend. You're only going to have to keep track of how many shares you own. And I think that that is the most important part, and actually how much dividends you're coming from there. So it's eliminating the work of owning the portfolio, and it leaves you to looking at the fundamentals. And it has you looking at things that actually matter, like growing your dividends or focusing on what shares you want to purchase next, rather than spending 80% of your time keeping track of the portfolio and analyzing the portfolio. So at this point, every month or so you can go through here and say, oh, I got more shares here, got more shares here. Do your dividend actuals, which we'll walk through, and Bob's your uncle, you're in the clear. So let's do an example here. We purchased 100 shares of XOM. It's as simple as putting XOM underneath the symbol here in column A, row 8. And you can see as soon as I hit enter, it fills in a decent amount of things for you here. It automatically filled in the ExxonMobil Corporation, dividend, current yield. It's waiting for some of this other information from you to be able to fill in the rest of the table here. But you can also see a little bit off the screen here, there's 1 year price target just based off of some of the analysts, how much it's off that 1 year price target. So a negative or a positive number means it's 11% off of that. A negative number means that actually that value is going to come down. Maybe analysts are expecting it to actually go down. 52-week low, this is what the lowest price has been in the last 52 weeks. 52-week high, you guys are familiar with that. So that way you can kind of understand where your stocks are. If you have, say, $5,000 coming into the portfolio, where do you think your most undervalued stock is if you want to add within your portfolio? And of course, you can always do what you're doing outside of the portfolio if you want to add another position like we are doing as an example right now. So we're adding 100 shares, and you can automatically see the price shows up here at $71.48. And let's just assume we purchase shares at $75, and now we own 105 shares just through dividend reinvestment and things along those lines. Actually, let's just assume we purchased it at the 52-week low at around $64. So we'll say we purchased it at $64.65, just so we can kind of see what ends up happening. You can see just from entering these 3 columns here, the original, column A, column F, column G, column H, we now have a whole bunch of data that has been backfilled for us and would change if we were doing this live between the hours of 9:30 Eastern time and 4:30 or 4 o'clock Eastern time. You would actually be seeing these values constantly updating, your market value constantly updating, your gains constantly updating. Your dividend total would never really change unless there's a dividend increase or you purchase more shares. But maybe your yield on cost and your current yield would be changing depending on what the price goes up to. Yeah. So you can see the only other column we might have to do is if this column was blank, we're now going to fill it with energy, but I had it filled in. I didn't erase the old stocks that I had in here. So luckily for you, it was already on energy. And now what we would basically see is we can see now that the increase in the cash flow went from around $90 or so up to $114. And let's just do a quick estimate here. So what we're showing is up here where the actual portfolio annual cash flow comes in. If we were to erase this, you can see, oh, it's actually down to $84 here and almost $1,000 a year. Now that we added this, we're getting another $300 or so in annual cash flow, $365 to be exact, and increasing our monthly cash flow by almost $30 a month. So really cool. And this is kind of what you can utilize to start understanding what your forward income is going to look like. Now, what you can now see is if we go to, say, overview, we can immediately see that the energy column here, which was previously empty, is now filled at 4.9%. And you can see that the income for this is automatically coming into here, whereas before it was at 0. The value is currently in here because we have 100 shares of Exxon now. And how much of your portfolio is also in here. And you can see how much of the yield by sector is. So you can see only 15% of your value of the portfolio is within energy, but you're actually getting 26% of your income from that. So pretty significant change there. So yeah, you can scroll over if you wanted to. You'd actually be able to see this on one page if I didn't have this chat over here to the right. And for those of you who are just joining and just getting involved, you can either, so the spreadsheet is available for download at mattmoney.myshopify.com. There's a link at the very top of the chat if you'd like to go and purchase it. It is Matt Money version 2, Investments by Matt Money version 2. And if you'd like to start at the very beginning, I did a little bit of a spiel and talked about what's in the portfolio and what's in the tracker rather, and starting from the very get-go. So if you want to do that, feel free. And then also, I plan on re-releasing this video in a couple days or so when I have a little bit of time to edit it for folks to re-watch. So don't feel like if you miss this, you'll be behind. But another thing that you can also look at, going back to where we were, is you have a place to put 401k income, dividend portfolio, and luckily maybe you have a self-directed 401k and you can actually put that within the portfolio piece. I mean, that's completely optional as well. At the moment, we just have really one column or one table in here. But like I said, there's multiple tables just from things that I've had. I have my YouTube Moolah table, my Roth IRA table, even have my M1 Finance computer shares. I switched one of them to account number 5, my old share value package. So there's like 8 or 9 different accounts that you can have within here that are already connected up for you guys. So feel free to mess with that. But like I said, I wouldn't recommend deleting them just because there's formulas within here. If you change the title of the table, it's not going to be a big deal because it'll automatically change for you. It's just like Excel in that respect. But if you do delete the table, it will form an error. So I just recommend keeping the tables and leaving them empty if you're not planning on using them. So another thing that you can see is, the income that you're going to be getting from the portfolio, just like you were seeing on the first page. Going to be seeing that aspect of things pretty readily. So you see the $114 a month here, $114 a month here. I have a check built in, so in case any of your value is off, you could also build one in for this, but you could easily just cycle between the portfolio and overview tabs to make sure that these are relatively similar, in case maybe you accidentally mess with the formula or what have you. So the cool thing is that I have this now on my phone. So I don't know if you can download it on Android, but I have an iPhone, and if I knew how to, I guess, live share my iPhone, I can now, like, if I'm in the middle of a meeting or something like that, which I don't say I do this, disclaimer if anyone from work is listening to this, but if I'm in a meeting, now I can literally pull it up on my phone and look at my portfolio on my phone wherever I'm at. If I'm at lunch and I want to look at it, If I have time to then add how much dividends or how much my shares have increased due to reinvested dividends, I can do that on the go now. I don't have to be at a PC like I used to in order to do this. So that's really nice. I could, because it's on iCloud and it's constantly in the cloud, I could do it on my work computer, I could do it on my PC, I could do it, from anywhere that I have an internet connection, which makes it nice. I don't have to be on my PC like I used to when I had it on the non-automated version that you're seeing on the right-hand side of the screen now. So now gets to the fun part, because this is kind of a little bit behind the scenes aspect of how you can actually calculate things. But you can see that here's the dividends received table. So at the moment I have it set up for 2019 and 2020 dividends. But basically how I do this is, what I'll do is, I know for a fact that Exxon pays on a certain date. I don't remember what date, but we'll have to check that, and I can kind of show you what I do, the steps that I do in order for you to kind of be able to set this up. But at the moment, unfortunately, this doesn't automatically set up the dividends for you. It pulls the name over for you instantly. So XOM, we entered that. I didn't enter that beforehand. You can see it's a formula here pointing to the individual brokerage account for yourself. But it's relatively simple. Within this table here, you can kind of see the inputs here that are highlighted in red are historical data. So if you click on them, they're actual values. They're not formulas. But if you click on the black, these are the forecasted data that you're expecting in, say, 2019. And if you scroll down to a little bit further, you can see that this is the 2020 table. All the values here are black because all of them are forecasted. None of them are actuals to date. If you can somehow get your 2020 dividends in 2019, let me know. We can get very, very rich together. So this is basically the most manual process now that you'll have to do, whereas before I felt like the most manual process was the portfolio tab, this tab where you had to make sure all your dividends were up to date and everything like that. If you get a dividend increase now, it's automatic. As long as it shows up on the New York Stock Exchange, it'll show up. Although I will caveat that if you have someone like Main Street Capital, you will have to somewhat manipulate it because they don't have systematic dividends, yeah? So they have the 2 special dividends a year. So if you know a company, say like Ford, who has been doing special dividends that are somewhat unannounced every couple months, they have their normal 10-cent dividend, but then every couple months, or is it 15 cents? I don't remember. But every couple months, they give a 40-cent dividend. That 40 cents isn't going to be counted in here. So like my BHP dividend, when I got the special dividend in January, that wouldn't show up. Yeah, so it's only scheduled dividends that are normal. Yeah, so as long as the company announces it that the dividends are going up, it'll change. But if it's a special dividend, it won't capture that. So just keep that in mind. That's the only caveat to this being automated here. So let's look at how I would fill this out for Exxon. So you can kind of see I have the formula in here for you already, just as an idea, but it's relatively simple. If you know what table you're in or value you're looking at, you can easily kind of estimate where it's going to be. You just type in what account it is, double colon, and just based off of what we have here that the dividends are in column N, just because I have it kind of noted up here for you. And so at the moment you'll see that this is in black, or in red, sorry, and it's also pointing to row 3. But I just did that for ease. We can go back and just double check what column this actually is in. So we're looking for the total dividend column here. We know that we're in column N, and we are in row 8. So instead of this 3, which we currently have up here, we're actually going to come down to column 8. So now we'll go back to dividends received and just change this to an 8. And now we kind of have an idea as to what we should be getting on a quarterly basis. And you can see I divided this by 4 because what it has currently on the table that we are referencing is the total dividend per year, and what we're looking for is the quarterly dividend and when it's going to happen. So at the moment, I just have this in January, but what I would probably do is go to something like dividend.com, and hopefully this doesn't make me look like a fool, because sometimes when I open up dividend.com, it makes me look like a fool. So you can see annualized payout here is 348, and you can kind of see when the previous dividends are. So the ex-dividend date was in August here, not too long ago, but when were the actual payouts? And I think this is when it makes me look like a fool. Okay, here's the actual payout. So the declared date was at the end of July. The ex-dividend date was in August. The actual pay date here is on the third quarter, or third month of every quarter. So your Marches, your Junes, your Septembers, and Decembers. So I would go back to here and I would copy this formula here. And that's what these dollar signs are for. So if you wanted to click and drag and then delete as expected, you could. But I generally keep the dollar signs in here so that way I don't have to worry about it. Because if you don't, then sometimes your formula changes a little bit. But anyway, that's what it is. But we know that since we just invested in it September, and the ex-dividend date for the third quarter was at the end of July, we won't get this payment. We won't get this payment because these months already passed and these dividends already passed. But what we do know is we will get them for 2020 unless Exxon, something drastic happens and unfortunately misses their dividend payment. So we know at the moment that the forecast will be for Exxon to pay in 2020. So at the moment, we'll get $91 in December from Exxon, and then we'll get the other 4 dividend payments next year. Now, because this is referencing this initial portfolio table, and generally speaking, if companies are consistent, they won't change what months they're actually changing their dividend payments. Say Exxon raises their dividend again to say $95 per share per quarter. This would automatically change to 95 whenever they decide to do that. I think they decided to do that in generally the third quarter. So next year, you'll probably get a $91 dividend payment in March, one in July, or June rather. But this will also change if you were to, say, reinvest your dividends as well. So for instance, let's reinvest our dividends for the next couple quarters. We'll end up with another 5 shares. You can see that the actual, let me get rid of this formatting thing here. We got ourselves like another $1.50 in dividend income with that, and we went from the $3.60 or so total annual dividend to about $3.82. And if you go to dividends received, it went from $91 per forecast to $96 on a quarterly forecast, automatically changing that. And so you'll see, you can, hey man, if you download the workbook, it'll have a README file like this. And so if you download the workbook at My Shopify, which is the link is at the very top, then it'll kind of walk you through after you create your iCloud account, what you do to then upload the spreadsheet for yourself. So that way you can follow along. And also, I kind of walk through it at the very beginning. So if you want to start at the very beginning, then go ahead. So that's relatively it with respect to getting yourself filled out. And I would say the most tedious part would be is if you have a decent portfolio and you're starting from scratch. It might take a little bit of time, but the most tedious part would be really, we showed how relatively simple it was to fill in these 5 columns. This column will hopefully never change unless the company drastically changes the direction of where they're going. And hopefully this ticker won't change unless you sell the stock. So it's really just focusing on then these 3 columns, and really everything else except for this dividends received kind of goes into its own sort of autopilot rather. And this overview will change automatically. This goals and actuals will change automatically. It's tied to, say, specific parts of your portfolio. You might have to adjust what columns it's actually looking at. If you have more or less columns in your IBA, that's one thing to keep in mind as well. At the moment, it is tagged to certain parts in the dividends received, so it might not necessarily be those specific columns that you would look at. But I think that this is also important to look at because if you go from, say, dividends received, I'll get to the goals and actuals in a moment, but if you go to the goals and received, or goals and actuals rather, goals and actuals will be in a minute. If you go to dividends received and you have that, you can kind of go to your monthly dividend. You can compare your 2019 versus 2020 number. And you can see, for instance, in our Marches, June, September, and December, that our dividend payments are drastically higher because in March, June, September, and December, because we've added shares of Exxon and we only have 1 quarter's worth of dividend payments going ahead for next year. So you can see that March is going to be a relatively large for next year, and we've got barely any income. So you can see here that we have over a 5,000% increase year over year, and also for June another 700%. September is 200%, and December is about even because we were like we saw. You're going to be getting Exxon shares in this example in both Decembers, December 2019 and 2020. And so I already have it set up for 2021 as well, so you can compare how your year over year is going to continue to grow. But I think that the most important thing and the most important part of this tab is once you kind of get your portfolio in here, this is, I would say, the places where I focus most of my energy during the month when it's not updating dividend time and it's not adding new shares to the portfolio. I would say I spend most of my time in this overview tab to see that I'm diversifying my portfolio and making sure that I'm not over allocating to things. You guys know that I over allocate to my energy stocks. I try to look at my dividend yield, my yield on cost. Is my yield on cost going up? Is it going down? Is my dividend yield too high, which I believe mine is at the moment at about 4.7%. In this particular case, it's around 2.7. It's relatively stable because we have some good high quality, more long-term dividend paying stocks in this example portfolio here. Excuse me, messed up there. But what I would focus most of my time on, now that I have an established portfolio, is this dividend progress tab. This place where you can really start to analyze where your actuals are and where you're trying to get to. Because I think a lot of times what we do is we focus on the 6 months out, 1 year out, but I think this tab, and of course I'm still expanding on this tab and I'm still trying to grow this tab, but really trying to understand where you're going to get to. If you're consistent, if you're following your trend lines, if you're consistent, you're continuing to add to the portfolio, you can really start to understand where you're going to get in 5, 10, 15 years. So before I dive into this one, curious if anybody has any quick questions. I'm going to take a sip of water here, but I know I've been going on for about 35 minutes now, and just really curious if anybody's got any questions before I continue per se. Excuse me. All right. So like again, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, if you want to follow along directly with the with what we're showing here, there's a link up top in the live chat and also in the description, hopefully, of this video, describing where you can actually purchase and download the spreadsheet that we're kind of going through, and hoping that you do that so that way you can kind of get involved and get into the nitty-gritty and have any questions, and also decide to build one on your own and build with me. So if you have any suggestions, you can let me know and I can implement it for others to use as well. But actually diving back into this annual goals versus progress and your dividend progress, you can see that this tracks directly with your dividends received over a course of time. At the moment, since we're starting in 2019, this is all historical data that I've backfilled because I'm too lazy personally to go into my old non-automated dividends received and pull over month by month what I received and when. I don't think it's necessarily important because at that point I think I'm getting too much into the grains. I'd rather focus on year-over-year growth. But looking specifically at 2019, 2020 going forward, you can see that it's kind of connected up into the dividends received tab for you. You can understand and see where your total actuals are. At the moment, say for 2019, we're looking at 747 in total dividends received. So if you go back to dividends received, you can see this is 747 here. And then for 2020, it should be about 1392, which corresponds to, because we haven't started 2020 yet, to what is in this portfolio tab here, 1392, and what's also in this overview tab, this 1392. And then you can also see that in the goals and actuals tab, this 1392. And based off of this, you can kind of get an understanding as to where you are in terms of your previous income. You can see that it was tracking my old progress here. So within your download, you would also see your actual progress as well, my previous progress as well. Feel free to upload this with your individual progress so you can create your own graphic. But what you currently see in here is the forecasts as well as the actuals in here. And with that, you have this dividend growth tab here. At the moment, I have it set at about a 27% increase year over year. You can personally change it to 10%, 5%, for whatever your goals are. So for instance, I want to make, let's say, $850 this year, and next year I just want to make $1,000. And you can see it's going to drop off drastically because I have some actuals in here. So let me get rid of these, say we're starting from scratch again. And have some old stuff in here from like YouTube income as well. Let me get rid of this and this, so we're kind of looking apples to apples here, and kind of scroll up so you can kind of see. So at the moment, this total actuals here is kind of what we have in the portfolio. Then we also have the goal in green, and you can see on a monthly basis where we're looking at. We're trying to get to just over $62 this year. Or we're at $62 this year a month, and we're trying to get to $71. And so for instance, next year we want to get to say $1,200 a month, and then we really want to try to get that to increase, let's just say 10% per year. And so that way we can, oops, messed that up here, sorry about that. Really want to increase that, say 10% per year. And so put it in there, click and drag. And that way you can kind of focus, you can kind of understand where you're trying to get to. You can see for instance, based off of your totals between this year and next year, it looks like you're already going to get way above your goals for the year. So it's probably worthwhile to readjust, say 1,500 for next year, and that would readjust your goal. Maybe it flattens out, but your year-over-year growth is pretty massive, yeah. So really might want to look specifically at what this year-over-year growth is and see if you can continue that. So that way you can try your best and try to continue to increase and not say spend more money because you've already hit your goal for the year. I think this tab isn't to do that. This tab is to focus on you looking at what you can achieve and pushing yourself to the furthest you can so you can get further. My hope is that you're not just putting in abnormal dividend increases like 100%, where you say multiply this by 2 and try to reach that every single year. It's unsustainable to try to do that. You can kind of see just based off that, maybe you're investing enough, but you can see in the next couple of years you're already way off track. So anyway, I think that's relatively it. So unless anybody has questions, suggestions, or anything like that, like I said, there's small advice and tips within here that folks can look at to help guide themselves, and really curious what folks are thinking. Like I said, if you guys haven't yet, feel free to look up top. There's a link where you can download this, and really curious to get some feedback from folks. I've already sent this to some of the folks in the WhatsApp group, and they haven't given me too much negative feedback yet, just some little clarification things which I've added into the most recent download for you guys on the Shopify store. So really curious what other features you would want into the spreadsheet. I can build that for you. Open your minds, think about what you would want. I can try my best to really try to implement things if you're not as savvy, say, with Excel or savvy with Apple numbers. I can try my best. I'm still learning Apple numbers a little bit. It's not too different from Excel, but I can try my best. If you have an idea to build something for you, we can have a conversation. And of course, with that idea, I would give that to you for free, for sure. If you have an idea that then gets put into, say, the workbook. But I advise you first, before you just start trying to get a free workbook, that you of course download it first, mess with it, live with it for a couple days, see if it's something that you really need. If it is, let me know, we can build it in for you. But not going to just add something in so that way you get a free workbook. I really want you guys to try to get involved, make your lives a little bit easier, focus less about trying to keep track of your dividends in a poorly managed spreadsheet. Like I said, this has been, since 2013 I've been managing my workbooks, and this is about, I guess, 6 or so years of experience tracking these at the moment. So you're getting about 6 years worth of experience and 6 years worth of trial and error in this sort of workbook. It's not just something I put together haphazardly. I mean, you guys have been with me since I've been recording it in late 2016. The different variations and things that I've added every year, I generally add one more additional thing that has really helped get it from where it was today to where it was. It used to be something called portfolio. Now you see this tab's called portfolio formatted. So it's like, every single time I sit around, think about things to try to make my life easier. I used to track the dividends like this, so that way I could color things in. Then I switched it to something that's more like a table like this, and now you can see that that was really manual, and now it's something that's very, very automated. So now I can focus less on making sure that the dividend increase is in there. I get a message from, say, Philip Morris saying, hey, we increased the dividend from $1.07 per quarter to $1.14. I don't have to go into the portfolio tab and automatically put it in there. It's automatic. And Exxon, for instance, did a dividend raise this last quarter. It wasn't me trying to scavenge and see, is this the most recent dividend? We opened up this here, and we saw that at the very top, this is paying $3.48 annualized payout. And like you guys saw, just by deleting this, it all goes away if you get rid of it, right? So, it's simple for you. And then as soon as you hit XOM, it automatically looks everything up for you, and boom, you're in the money. You got your current yields, your yield on cost. All you have to manage is these 3 columns and your dividends received, and you're set. You can focus on the things that matter, like diversifying your portfolio, making sure you're putting the money in the right places rather than consistently worrying about updating your spreadsheet. So like I said, hope this video finds you great. Hope this video finds you well. And if you have any questions, I'll probably stay on for a little bit, but can't guarantee that that will be in the video that I'll release. So I'll stay on for a little bit if anybody has anybody has questions. Yeah, so that's it. Thanks for stopping by. For those of you that are going to sign off because you don't have any questions, thanks, and I'll talk to you guys soon. And yeah, so the floor is open for questions. Stevie, I expect if you're still on, expect a text message from you letting me know how I did, if my public speaking was okay or whether it was off. So we'll sit here for a little bit. I'll be drinking my water and waiting for some questions. Let's see how many folks are on. Got some folks dropping off. It's understandable. And if you guys could just make sure you like the video, it means a lot. Helps YouTube let me know that you guys are enjoying, and it lets them know that you want to see my content still. So, or hit a thumbs down. Either way, it helps. Thumbs up or thumbs down. So, and I'll be re-releasing the video. So the 50K is just an example. It's not, these are technically dividends that I do own. These shares are technically things that I do own. These first couple positions here are things that I own, but I actually don't own Royal Dutch Shell anymore, but this used to be a cash thing here, and cash doesn't necessarily work, like I'll show you. So some mutual funds don't work, but all stocks do, but some mutual funds do not. And so it'll pull up that it's the Fidelity account. Maybe it doesn't, but I thought it did. It did before. But anyway, it'll pull up certain things, but it won't, really have everything. So like what it'll do is it'll pull up Shell, it'll pull up things like that. Yeah, no worries. I know there's about a 20-second lag, so hopefully it's not too bad, but I'm trying my best to manage that. I'm trying to figure out also how I can cut it down as well. But so yeah, this Bank of Nova Scotia, Bryn Mawr Trust, BlackRock, and AbbVie are real shares that I have, and this Exxon was just an example so that we built it together. So I walked through that in the very beginning where I talked about, I had most of these empty. Like I said, this table in my workbook is completely full of stocks, and these other tables are completely filled with stocks, but I erased them because obviously you're going to fill them with your stocks, hopefully when you download them, the workbook. So yeah, this Exxon, while I do own about 90 or so shares of Exxon, it's just an example. So that when we walk through like the building the dividends received, how to actually put it in, and reference certain parts. So that way it's automated. We walk through when you change this from 105, which was originally, it changes from $91, and then when you change it to 110 or the dividend raises or what have you, it changes to the 95. So and we demonstrated that it changes everywhere. It changes in the overview, portfolio view. It's all interlinked. So, oof. Any other questions? I had some chicken that I picked up. Ooh, yeah. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll pick up some of this chicken. It was like a rotisserie chicken, and I was like, maybe I'll get that and have it for dinner. And then I was like, oh, there's a chicken Caesar wrap here. Let me see what this is all about. I took one bite into that chicken Caesar wrap, man, and I was like, this thing's going in the trash. It was garbage. I was like, you know what? Let me give it one more bite. Gave it another bite, and it was worse than the first. I was like, nope. And it was like, I think it was like $50 TT dollars, which is like $7 or $8. It's the worst decision I made all day. So I guess my buddy Stevie's not even on here because he didn't text me like I thought he would. Woo! Sorry. I generally do the, I don't know if you know this or I've done it on a previous, but I generally, when I have a couple drinks, I'll definitely do the Ric Flair. But yeah, I generally don't do it on my YouTube videos because I'm trying to be professional, but I need to be more personable on my videos. But hopefully that was good enough for you. You get a better one if you come to Trinidad and we have a drink. It'll be a good time. Stevie, based off of my personal coaching with you, if you listen to me, you'd be a lot closer to being rich. But because you don't listen to my advice, you're not. But no, I'm just kidding with you, brother. I know you're trying to get your debt down. But I don't know if anybody on here actually has the Dividend Workbook yet. So, curious if anybody has any questions. People are staying on stream, so I don't know if they're like looking back and trying to look at the old, if they're currently looking back like 5-10 minutes, or if it started from the beginning and they're catching up, or what. But I was giving my buddy Stevie personal advice. Since I have this YouTube channel, I work with him. He's a good buddy of mine, and I'd say one of my best buddies in Houston for sure. And talk to him every once in a while, and he's trying to get himself in better financial shape. And so generally talk to him every once in a while. I try not to bug him too much because I don't want to. I like talking about investing, and it's like my passion, as you guys can tell. I love talking about it, and I just don't want to talk too much about it and have people hate me and what's the right word? Resent me, because it's all I talk about. So I try to tread lightly, and but if people ask, then how much do you invest? How do you invest so much? Do you have a high-paying job? I do well. I won't say that I'm top 1%, but I do well, and I also try to keep my expenses under control. I try to save about 50% of my income, and so I think it's a two-way street. It's income. It also excuse me, I was getting distracted by a question. It's part making a good salary and part keeping my expenses down, right? So when I was just out of college, I would say, for instance, I would buy a lot a lot of materialistic things. Like for instance, I bought a Rolex right out of college, even though it was a huge percentage of my salary at the time, and that's currently sitting in a safe in Pennsylvania somewhere with my parents. But at that point, I was buying stupid stuff, right? Like, had I invested that 10% for the year, I would have been that watch price for the year per se. I would have been done, probably at that point 50% of my investing for the year outside of my 401k. So, do I regret buying the watch? No, but I learned from it for sure. Maybe I'll buy a different one. Maybe I'll buy one for my dad in the future because he deserves it. My mom also deserves one as well. But yeah. So let me see if I can fix this lag a little bit. I know it's a little bit confusing. I think I've seen something in the past. Let's see. Is it here? General? Advanced. Stream delay. 0 seconds. Retro delay. Or retry delay. 5. The minimum is the minimum 0? Is the minimum 5? Minimum's 5, huh? Alright, minimum's 5. It is what it is. Oh man, that's really cool. Me and one of my buddies in the WhatsApp group. I didn't mention that on the live stream because I was focusing on the workbook here. But if any of you guys want to join the WhatsApp group, I think I have about 5 to 10 spaces left. Just follow me on Instagram at Matt Money and there and message me and Ice, what's going on, man? And just message me there, and I have about 5 to 10 spots left. Not exactly too sure how many more people I'm gonna let in the WhatsApp group, but I got other things in the pipeline. Hopefully, if I can think some things up to get that popping off a little bit more. So what else is there? Oh yeah, so one of the guys in the WhatsApp group was just talking about BMO, Bank of Montreal, and we were talking about Bank of Nova Scotia. You can see in the portfolio here, I have about 100 or so shares of Bank of Nova Scotia, and I was talking about Canadian banks and how they're priced so well. If you look at like the price to free cash flow for these Canadian banks, it's like absurd, crazy. So that's really awesome. I wish that the company I worked for every 2 shares I bought, 50% discount. Do you have a hold? Food Comedy, do you have like a hold period? And my boy Stevie, see if this guy Food Comedy is legit. Does he have a channel? Because I'm curious. And I don't want to open it up here to a couple people. But curious. I'm going to definitely have to... Definitely gonna have to see if he's got a channel. But yeah, man, welcome back. For Ice, I know you've been chilling in the Philippines. You got to tell me how that is, man, because you're the guy that was going to teach or go for the army. I forget, but I remember you were telling me because we were both leaving around the same time. So glad to see you're back on the channel. It's awesome. It's probably early there, 9:30. It's probably like 12 hours ahead, so it's probably like 7 or 8 a.m. There for you. So good morning for you, brother. Oh, Foodcom, you're in the group chat? Shit. I don't know. I don't want you to like say your name, but okay, awesome. So let's see. So all good. I'll answer your question. Do I suggest staying with ETFs so someone cannot deal with day-to-day changes in stock? So there's a good video that I made. I believe it's good. I don't know. Maybe you guys think it's stupid, but let's see. We'll go to YouTube. Hopefully it doesn't have any proprietary information. But There was a little bit there, but it's all good. Wasn't you? My bad, man. Didn't mean to. But let's see. Videos. I have a pretty good video for you. All good. And this is just my advice, so don't necessarily think, wow, I thought this video would have gotten a little bit more traction, but guess it didn't. So I basically go through the 4 or 5 steps that I personally would look at if I were to be looking at starting a portfolio from scratch again, or even if you're not and you're looking at trying to change your strategy, what I would look at and what I would think about in terms of what you should look at in your strategy, what fits you, what makes you feel good, your time horizon, stuff like that. And I think that what a lot of people do is they might just jump into investing and not necessarily think about it. And from experience, and I'm not saying that I'm the most experienced, it's just what I've concluded for myself since I started investing, 2013 timeframe. I was originally doing penny stocks, and then I was jumping to growth stocks, and then I was jumping to dividend stocks. And what I found that I felt most comfortable with was dividend stocks, and it's not saying that that's for everybody, but it fit my personality and it fit my risk tolerance and it fit what I was looking for. And so then I started to come up with this theory, because a lot of people ask me in comment section and stuff like that in videos, should I do this? What should I do that? And if I have $100, what should I do with it? And those are all really good questions, but I think that a lot of people, and I tell this to my friends as well, they're like, where should I buy stock? Where should I do this? And I'm like, before you buy anything, really think about what you want, what your plan is, because if you see the price of a stock drop 5% and you're like, oh my God, I gotta sell, you're that emotional, then that's fine. I understand. I'm not gonna judge you for that, but I just think that maybe investing individual stocks isn't for you, and I would recommend not looking at your portfolio day to day and just try to recognize yourself. I think investing should be a very unemotional thing, and I think a lot of people get emotional. They see the portfolio drop by 10%, like that's 10% I gotta sell, and it's like, oh God. So I've made videos in the past talking about 2008 and why I'm personally a dividend investor, and it's like, yeah, okay, 2008 you saw the stock market drop 55 to 60%, but income only dropped 20%, and stuff like that. So I'm going on a tangent, but I would recommend that if you're very emotional when it comes to seeing the price go up, go down, it might be better to invest in sectors. But even still, sector ETFs are just total stock market ETFs, but even still, those could also go up 10%, go down 10%. I think one of the best things that you can do for yourself, and Warren Buffett says this all the time, is just invest in a total stock market fund or the S&P 500 ETF, whether it's IVV or SPY or whatever your flavor of choice is. And yeah, it might charge an expense ratio, I can understand that, but peace of mind and diversity and just continuing to be consistent and continuing to invest, whether that's 5% of your salary, 10% of your salary, 20% of your salary, 50% of your salary every month, and you'll buy the ups, you'll buy the downs. But it also depends heavily on your time horizon. If you only have 2 years, don't put money in the stock market, man. I mean, it's relatively simple. The market goes up, it goes down, and what you're trying to do is chase the ever expanding up and to the right, because the U.S. economy keeps growing, and unless something drastic happens, like the entire economy goes belly up or America suddenly just disappears overnight, then your money's going to continue to grow. It might change one year over the next, but in the long term, unless you think America's going away anytime soon, it is what it is. And a lot of people might be like, well, you never know, like America might change and it might go somewhere else. And it's like, yeah, maybe, but if that's the case, you can put your money elsewhere and it might be better there. So unless there's nuclear winter or Armageddon, I think investing in the United States stock market is probably a really good place for your money. And if that concerns you, diversify outside the U.S. a little bit. But that's just my take. And I'm 28 years old, so. So any other questions that I missed? 100% of your pay. That's crazy. Oh, that's right. I know who you are. Food comedy, yeah. So any other questions? See, like I get jealous, guys. I'm real jealous because I go into like these JMac, live streams, and I go into the individual investor live streams, and they just get like question after question after question, and they like are scrolled like 50 questions up, 50 questions deep, and they have like a backlog of questions, and I'm just like, I have to beg you guys for questions. I know they get a lot more viewers in their live stream than I do, but it makes me sad. I wish I had this like can keep going question after question, and instead I have to like go on these weird tangents. But I hope you guys enjoy the tangents, because I think it's those sort of things allows me to verbalize what I think, and sometimes that really helps me. So, but for those of you that are, let's check how many people are in here. So we have about 14 folks in here. How are you guys doing? I don't know. Ron L 14. I will answer that in about a minute. But hope this video finds you well. For those of you that have joined and are looking in the part where I discussed the tutorial or have yet to look back yet, I spent about 45 minutes walking through the I'm not as much as a movie buff as I used to, Gen X. But before you go back and look through the actual thing here, there's a download at the very top to my Shopify store. Feel free to give that a look. But I talked for about 45 minutes about how the actual workbook works and how it's automated, and some places where it's not perfect yet, but I think that it's really good. It's the best product I've made personally. And to now answer Ron 14's question here. Sorry, I was reading a question, or a comment rather. To answer your question, why I'm being greedy, or rather your statement of why I'm being greedy and charging $5 for the spreadsheet. It took a lot of time. I would say probably about 24 hours at least to put that together. And so in terms of what you're paying for building that for you, if you were to become a customer, let's do a quick amount of math. So about, let's say $5 divided by at least 24. So you're paying me 20 cents an hour to make that for you. And to be quite honest, for you to replicate that and do that yourself, I consider myself, I live in Excel. I'm an engineer, so I live in Excel or Apple number type programs on a day-to-day basis, and building charts like this, graphics, looking at economics, investment opportunities, and other sorts of trends is what I do on a day-to-day basis. And so building something like this and putting effort in over the past 6 years has been quite timely, and this has been continued to, how do I say this, polished, and it's how I base my portfolio. I have about $350,000 of portfolio at 28 years old, and I try to manage that as best as I can, looking at it on different wavelengths and different analysis to make sure that I have an idea as to what I'm looking for. And also, I believe that it's extremely important because if you have, say, an iPhone or Android and you're able to download Apple numbers onto your phone, you can look at your portfolio wherever you have your cell phone. And when you look at it midday, it'll be updated. If a company updates their dividend midday, from, let's say, Philip Morris a couple weeks ago increased their dividend from $1.07 per quarter to $1.14, and you look at your numbers portfolio, it'll change automatically. You don't even have to do anything. So I think in that respect, it's it might not be the best product on the market, but I think if, I had somebody the other day ask me, why don't you just use dividendtracker.com or whatever it is. It's like dividend.com, or maybe it's even on dividend.com. There's like a dividend tracker, and I'm like, it doesn't record the dividends for you. Yeah, it might forecast out for you, but does it keep a portfolio? No. Does it keep partial shares? No. Does it tell you your yield on cost? No. Does it, and so with respect to that, being able to look at your portfolio, look at your yield on cost instantaneously, because you've entered 3 numbers for your position. I think that this, in my opinion, is, and I don't know about others, but is one of the best products on the market for this. Even something like Robinhood doesn't give you your forecasted dividends expected for 2020. So that was maybe a long-winded answer to say that I don't think I'm greedy, but rather helping you guys and asking for a little bit of compensation with respect to that, so I can continue to put effort into it and continue to grow it. And there's a couple things that I actually want to reach out to Apple to see if we can build capability into this. Some other things that aren't able to be tracked currently automatically with stocks. I forget. I have them written down, but I don't want to share them with you guys. But there was like 3 or 4 things that I had, because when you automate some of these things, they don't get captured. And I was like, that's not automated? How's that not automated? Yeah, and I'm thinking about some other stuff as well right now while I'm chatting about it. So those will be hopefully at the top product that I have at the moment, and hoping that with that I can put more effort into doing these things so I can continue to keep you guys focused on investing rather than tracking. It would be more of a tool for you guys to look for whether or not you're on track to meet your goals. Because I think at the moment it's very difficult to do that. And hopefully this tool allows you to focus more on, are you going to meet your goals, rather than, keeping tabs on every little thing about your portfolio. So I personally don't have an opinion on Prudential. I know some folks that either follow me, I think, or in the WhatsApp group, I think, might have some Prudential are just sold out, and I think, who was it? Was an individual investor also just sold out? So, oh man, passive income investor, what's going on, brother? I saw your discussion. Was that in Seattle? Was it LA? I don't remember, but it was real awesome. I think the people that are most vocal in this community here is, or the Canadians for sure. Like, I feel like those guys just come out, and every time I look at my analytics, it's like the amount of followers that I have in Canada versus the amount of followers and subscribers I have, I think, in, say, the US. I think that just like the Canadians are just like the coolest dudes. I'm excited. I'm gonna go. I have a wedding at the end of October, and planning on going to Toronto for the night, and then I think I might go visit some other islands on the way back. And I was going to hopefully stay for a couple nights in Toronto, but I think like the price of the ticket goes up by like $400 or something stupid if I spend time. So I think it's just because the plane's doing a turnaround or something. going from Ohio to Turks and Caicos that I got like a dirt cheap price. It's like go to Ohio to Turks and Caicos for like $200, but it's like a 24-hour, 23-hour, or something like that landing period. So I like arrive in Canada, or Toronto rather, at like 2:30 or something. Maybe it's less, and then no, it's a lie. It's like 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock, and then I have to leave by like 12 o'clock the next day. It gives me enough time to like go check out Midtown or something. Which is hopefully. And I was checking out the Drake Hotel. Uncle Stevie, if you're on here still, which I see you are, check out the Drake Hotel in Toronto. I was like, dude, that's baller. I love that guy. He's not just a good rapper, but he's a businessman for sure. So passive income investor, why learn Excel, man? I got it all set up for you. Just go ahead and look at it. Hopefully, if you're interested, I know you're a busy guy, but hopefully, if you look at the tutorial, about the first 45 minutes or so. So I went from like 8:30 to 9:15. Talk about the tutorial. You could either use this and build your own, but I was telling a guy, maybe when you were listening, you came in, you listened to me go on a tangent about, said I might be greedy by selling this for a decent amount of money, but I think, no worries. Always got to talk to the mom, man. You're talking about what day am I in Toronto? I thought you were talking about the when I went on my rant. Crap, what is it? The 27th? So I think the wedding is on like the 26th. I fly into Houston in Ohio 25th, and then wedding's the 26th, and then Sunday the 27th, I believe, I fly out to Toronto, and then Toronto to Turks and Caicos, which I still need to book that flight, but hopefully that doesn't blow up on me. Will hopefully be that Monday. So, but yeah, going back, if you look at the first 45 minutes, it kind of walks through the dividend automated dividend tracker, and if you want, you can use this to build your own, but it's going to take a while and might not have all the functionality, and it would be awful. So thanks, Stuck in SJ. That's real kind of you. It isn't greedy. I agree. Free stuff doesn't always get the same respect, because I was selling what was it? Yeah, it's like, I feel like, I'm not trying to be rude. I was like thinking about this on my drive home today. I was like, I think because I present myself as just a normal dividend guy, or because I'm so personal, transparent, and I give a lot of information away. I'm not saying I'm the best YouTuber by any means. I think there's so many great YouTubers that give a lot of value. Like Ian is phenomenal, but I think because I do, dude, Toronto, really? Dude, yeah, if you're in Toronto, let's grab a drink or something if you're in Midtown or something like that, or wherever you're at. I still haven't booked any hotels or anything, but you seem like a cool dude. I'd like to meet up. But anyway, I was thinking, because maybe, I'm more personable and really giving a lot of value away, that people expect that trend to continue, that everything I do would be free. And because of that, I think it is one of the things. I'm not going to pull a dividend grinder, and no offense to him either, but I can understand his frustration, because a couple times a week I'll and I think JMac, an individual investor, also touched on this a little bit last week as well in their chats. It's like when you don't get the, I guess, respect and the viewership that you think you deserve, and you see other folks getting it, you might get a little envious. And I'm not saying that they don't deserve it, but sometimes you see some people and you're like, this guy is giving wrong information and people are eating it up. And sometimes it's really interesting, and I think some of it has to do with algorithms sometimes, and I think some of it just has to do with they're appealing to a different crowd, and sometimes the different crowd gets into the algorithms a little bit more. But sometimes you have to. I think one thing that I recognize is like if I guess I was, had a suit or I did this for a living or something like that, then you guys might respect my time more. You might respect and I do get a lot of respect. A lot of you guys have been extremely, extremely grateful, but there are some folks that are just like, and maybe it's just the select few that are ringing out and really putting me on a sour note. But I would say majority of the time, like 95, maybe even close to like 98% of the time, you guys are completely awesome. But then sometimes you get the one dude who watches the video for 1 minute and will shout out a question and you're like, dude, did you even watch the video? It's like crazy. But anyway, so kind of going back, I love it. Stuck in SJ. Otherwise, you can just make a workbook for yourself and be miserly. I love it. Sounds like a troll. God. Sometimes I love you guys. It's been a while since I did the YouTube moolah, but not trying to brag on this one, but I've been putting in a lot more videos lately into the portfolio, or into the backlog, and so I've been averaging for the past couple months. Maybe I have it better here. Actually, I can share this part of it. So I'll go to my portfolio here. It doesn't have, or it has some of the stuff that your guys' might not. Excuse me. Oof. But I keep track. So I think it was it back in July? I hit 170 something, and that month I was trending really good. I think in June I really started to I had this renewed goal of trying to get $200 a month in income, and it just wasn't sustainable. I think at one point I was putting out a video every other day, and it just wasn't. It wasn't sustainable, and I think at the time it was easy because I was just transitioning to Trinidad, and I was still getting used to the team and what exactly I was supposed to be doing. So anyway, so let's see here. Go to YouTube income. So in June I made 122. July I hit 177. August I hit 162. I think for this month I'm at 128. We'll just put in here for now. And so I think hopefully today's the last day in September, so by tomorrow I should know. Maybe I hit the 130s or something like that, but trending down slightly, which is fine. I've also been cutting back, and I tried a lot of live streams in September, which did not go well. I think you guys know I was losing subscribers and also losing a lot of viewership. So live streams, I know that the reason why I'm gonna keep this one, but I'm also gonna re-upload it as an edited video, is because the live streams just don't get the viewership. I don't know if it's because it's a live stream versus an actual upload, but I really personally like the live streams because I get to interact with you guys and have more of a casual conversation. And unfortunately, I can show you some of the numbers, but they're abysmal. I did a live stream 2 or 3 days ago, and it has 100 views, and to some people that's a lot, and I understand. But generally speaking, my videos of the first couple days, they hit 400, and sometimes they take off, sometimes they don't. Maybe they stay at 400, but they always generally get to about 400 views, and then some of them, people it hits the algorithm, and it goes up to a couple thousand in a week, or a couple weeks rather, or it just stays at 400 and maybe goes to 1,000 and trickles out. But YouTube Moolah is trending okay. I think it's about, we can check. I mean, it's about 2,000. Excuse me, wrong. So it's about 2,200, I would want to say. So here it is. So it's about 2,000, 2,100. But cool thing is it's up to $51, $52 in dividend income a year. So it's kind of crazy, and I love this kind of idea. It's like, what do you mean? Like you have a portfolio from all your YouTube income, $2,000, or I guess the cost basis is $1,900, but it's actually up 8.5%, and I'm making $52. So it's kind of like, it's super cool. It's like, I described it one time in a YouTube Moolah video, but it's like I make money from YouTube from the dividends that I make. So it's like money on money, and then it's like, and then I get paid and I invest that money, and not only do I get the gains from that, but I also get the dividends, right? So that's money on money on money. Maybe that's 4 monies. And then what I do is I make a video about that money, then I get more YouTube income that I then invest. So it's like moneyception, like it's dividendception, and I think it's hysterical. But I really enjoy it. There was like, I almost started putting my Cardone Capital money in here, because the Cardone Capital doesn't reinvest automatically. It gets deposited in my Wells Fargo account, and it's about $56-$70 a month or whatever it is. And I was like, maybe I'll put that in there. It's like, no, but it's kind of like a sacred account. But if I actually started making some serious cash, it would be cool, because the reason why I don't do those videos a lot is because I don't generally get a good amount of views on them. But I think it's really cool, and I think the people that do have YouTube channels really enjoy those videos. So, so what else is there? Top 3 favorite stocks. So I think I mentioned that BHP is probably one of my favorites for sure. And it's right there, so I'll just kind of keep it where it was. Let me zoom over, but BHP is probably my favorite at the moment. And that's just because, I invested at a good time. It's currently yielding about $437. I'll show you guys. I just got paid BHP like last week. And where is it at? But just like this year, because of the special dividend and BP buying some of their Permian assets and stuff, like that meant in January I got a special dividend of $258, right? So like, I think at the time BHP was trading around $50 or 45 or $50, maybe 50 some bucks. And so it gave me like 5 or 6 shares worth of BHP, and I'm like, talk about dividendception, like 5 or 6 shares, and BHP yields 7%. So $258 times like 6-7%, you're looking at like another $40 a year just in like dividend income just from reinvestment on that. So it's like pretty crazy, right? I mean, like real good stuff. And then a couple months later, I only got $146 for the normal dividend, and then $211 that I just got. So it's like, at this point, the yield on cost for BHP, last time I checked, it was like 17 something percent, but I think the price was trending down slightly. So, I'm drunk. I don't know what I'm talking about. I thought it was 17%. It's only 14%, folks. I'm sorry. I lied to someone the other day. I straight up just told them that. But like, look at this, dude. Like, originally bought 107 shares. I've reinvested, so now I'm up to 140 shares and 150% increase. And it's not because of the increase. It's just like, I love this company, man. Like, anyway, other favorite stocks. I would say if I didn't have any investments. Sorry, I don't know what I just said. If I didn't have any investments in energy stocks, if I wasn't overloaded, you guys know that I'm like overloaded in energy shares, that I would definitely, it's the yellow. So you can see on the left the dividends, and then on the right you can see the portfolio value. It's like portfolio value is like 24-25%, and then the dividends themselves coming from the energy part of the portfolio is like between a quarter and a third of all my dividends. So like if I had 0 energy positions, I would say for sure I would invest in Royal Dutch Shell right now. And I think that there is a decent amount of value in the super majors right now. I don't do a lot of looking at the normal energy investors or sorry, normal independent investors like your Oxys, your Anadarkos, your Conocos. Well, Conoco, I guess you could claim as a major, but sort of, kind of. But like the price discrepancy, like the price to free cash flow for some of these guys is like in line with financials. Like financials, Wells Fargo pays like it has like a price to free cash flow of like 8%. Exxon's like the same. Shell's like the same. It's like I think Shell's like Shell's cash flow from operations last year was like $40 billion. It's like very few companies have cash flow numbers like that except the big banks and Apple. Like Apple, is of course like they have. I think their cash flow is like $80 billion or something absurd. Like they're definitely going to be the company that makes like $100 billion that's publicly traded, aside from Saudi Aramco because they're not publicly traded yet. But like it's crazy. So I would go with Shell if I had. And my biggest, it's like a positive and negative. Like my Shell, I had 200 some shares at one point, like 100 or so shares at 100 some shares at one point. So my position was like almost double. I think it was like 180 shares or something stupid. I have to find that out because I've talked about it a couple times now. But so I'll have to go on Fidelity and pull it up. But I mean, it was definitely like one of my biggest holdings at one point, and it got into like I want to say the mid 60s, and I sold some of it because my energy position was just too high, and it was my biggest one, and I thought at the moment it was the highest price out of all of them. And I generally don't sell shares, but anyway, it is what it is. Now I have Cosmos instead, which is still a small position, but it is what it is. And then I'd also say my third favorite. I used to say that Realty Income Corp was a company that I would never sell, but like you guys see, like the price is like $77, dude. Like you see this, 77 bones. I want to get like the labels in here. Yeah, like $77, dude. Like that's too much. Like I love the company, but too much. I would say probably my third is Main Street Capital. I mean, well-run company, up 49% on it, and been reinvesting the dividend, sort of, kinda. There was a while I turned it off, and the reason why I turned it off is because at this point, I think some of you guys know. So at this point, I get about $6,200 from this account yearly. So that is, I'm not good with math. That's $500 a month. I don't know. Is that $500 a month? That sounds about right. So it's like $500 a month, and then every 15th of every month, I put $1,500 in. So if I were to recapitalize, then I would be able to add $2,000 to whatever I wanted. So at some point, I was like, let me do that, and so I stopped reinvesting everything, and I would be selective on where it was going. But then what I decided was, well, I basically want to invest in everything except for energy stocks. So I think all I do now is I reinvest all my shares in every account except for energy stocks. I think I messed something up in my cash. I'll have to check this. That is not right. But anyway, so yeah, I think that's relatively it for the three stocks. So I would definitely say BHP, Shell, and Main Street Capital. They're all very different. Main Street Capital also, I think you get a K1 because it's like a partnership. It's a business development company, so they don't pay qualified dividends. So just double check that if you do have it, put it in a Roth or a tax advantaged account. So that way you don't have to pay normal income on it. I have it both in my advantaged account and my brokerage account. So I think I would say now Main Street Capital is my biggest position actually, aside from I think it's either my second biggest income producer, maybe aside from Cardone Capital, but I have 137 shares in my regular brokerage account, which is 400. Excuse me. Woo, which is $400, and then another $450 in my individual retirement account. So, can you imagine, dude? I love this. It starts getting crazy. You start thinking about it. That's $850 from one company. I think that's the biggest I got. So 850 divided by 12, $70 a month. So that would be able to afford me just under 2 shares a month. So I think I'm reinvesting in that. I know I am, because I just increased this again. But for a couple months I wasn't. So yield on cost, check that out, 9%. Real excited about it. Real excited about it. So yeah, man. You can also join the WhatsApp group. Just message me on Instagram. I'll put it. So Instagram at Matt Moolah, and just DM me, and we'll add you to the WhatsApp group and see what's up. So vids that get the best results. It really varies. So sometimes I'll make, so to put it in perspective, so I made a video, I think my most recent that has gotten the most views, that has been most successful as of late, is setting up your investment account. And I basically walk through how to set up your Fidelity investment account, and it was re-uploaded because I think originally it had a small piece of personal information in it. Nobody would get anywhere with it, but I was just like, you know what? Let me just re-upload it, remove it, and then I think when it re-uploaded, it got way more views the second time around. So go figure with that one. And then, but I have like another one that I followed up with, not because that one was doing so successfully. I mean, it had decent success initially, but I think the algorithm kind of took it and went off with it. So it didn't see like instant success. But I think another one that I did like completely flopped, like connecting your bank account to your investment account. So it's like, so many people I know, they have investment accounts. Maybe it's just people that I work with, and it's not trying to attack them by any means, but a lot of times they'll have like an individual brokerage account, but like they don't even have a bank account set up. And I'm like, dude, like I'm gonna buy this. They're like, oh, dude, I want to get involved. And I'm like, all right, man, like I was like, do you have your account set up? And they're like, yeah. And then I'll find out like later on, they're like, oh, dude, I can't buy. Like, how do I like what do I even do? And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, I have an account, but like, and like this is girls and guys alike. Like I'm not attacking just girls or guys, but it's been happened like 3 or 4 times. So, so there's that. And then a lot of times I think some of the ones that get the most are when I hit the milestones, like another $100 a month in dividend income. So something like $300 a month in dividend income, $500 a month. That'll be like $800 a month, $900 a month. Some of them take off, some of them do well. Like the $500 a month did really well, but like $700 a month, nobody cared. $800 a month, I don't think anybody cared. $900 a month just so far has not been doing well, and that's okay. Like I don't do it for that. I do it for my own personal documentation. But I think that that's funny. But then I think what ends up, and I kind of did it this last video, which I thought was funny, is like people, what they'll do instead of saying like they make $900 a month, they'll be like, and I kind of did in my last video so I can make fun of myself, I'll be like, $350,000 dividend portfolio. And so I think people, they would much rather click on $350,000 dividend portfolio than $900 a month in dividend income. Because I think, I'm not saying the majority of people aren't financially literate, but I think that because it's a bigger number, people might be like, oh, what's this all about? Rather than the $900 a month, it's not as, how do I say this? It's not as intuitive what you're talking about, and it requires a little bit more financial literacy to understand what's going on. Whereas some people might say $350,000, that's a lot of money. Whereas they're like $900, it's not, right? So they think that maybe just by chance, I think it tricks the brain to say $350,000 is more than $900 a month, when in actuality it's the same exact portfolio. So I notice people have caught on to that, and so anyway, hopefully that helps. Yeah, man, affording property, especially because you're in Canada. I think you're in Canada. I remember you talking about how you are, and I mean, you said you are because you just said you're in Toronto. But man, I would love to buy some real estate, but then part of me is just like, it's illiquid, and but I do have an idea, two ideas that I sit with that I don't know if I want to give free YouTube videos on. I might make like a course, or not a course rather, but two private videos that I would give to people if they were willing to pay a couple bucks. But I think one of them, I was talking to my buddy Stevie. Stevie, you can agree with me, but kind of gave him some quick pointers the other day, and I was just like, that would be a good video. Or maybe he said it'd be a good video, and I was like, yeah, man. He was like, yeah. I was like, what is that? Like is that like a $10 idea? He was like, no, man, that's a $50 idea. Like, you shouldn't give that one away for free. And then there's another one that, like, if I were to become financially independent in 6-7 years, what I would want to structure my income to look like. And I know I'd have, a lot of different streams of income now, 5, 6, 7, who knows? I mean, it doesn't really matter as long as it keeps coming in. But there's like 4 main pillars that I would want to have, and kind of describe that. And I think that's a huge conversation on its own, and don't want to get too much into that. But that you will see me get to that point, because at this point now, I'm heavily in specifically stocks, and I eventually hope to get to a different model, so that way it'd be more diversified. And Stevie, you're out of control. So dividend inception, yeah, man. Sometimes it's a lot of fun thinking about that sort of stuff. It's like money on money on money, and then this money, and then you're making money on that, and then you're making videos about making money on that. It's crazy. So stuck in that SJ. Found the channel for recently, like it. More exciting titles that use marketable search algorithm word bait. Yeah, that's a good point. How do I say this? I kind of talked about it like 5 minutes ago, or a couple minutes ago, but I don't know. Part of me is like internally too proud to like try to clickbait people, but I've realized maybe it's not clickbait per se. It's maybe trying to educate people in a different manner, and it's not lying per se or clickbait if you're still talking about your portfolio. I think maybe I just need to focus more on wordplay and how it's perceived. But I think some people because they aren't as far along in their financial journey might perceive things differently. So $1 a second. Yeah. So I think in one of my videos I said, how many dollars a day? I mean, how many dollars a day am I making now? Passively. Just dividend income, of course. Not talking about, so I'm up almost $29.58, and that's not including YouTube. So if I say like include YouTube, which I think at the moment we're at like, how much expected for this year? Way So for the tubes this year, we're at 1387. So yeah, $34 a month or a day a day. Yeah, $34 a month. That'd be $33 a day. Sorry, damn it, I keep screwing myself up. And that would be cool. I don't know how many seconds are in a day. What is it? 24 times 60 times 60. So 33.33 divided by 86,400. Yeah, it's like 0.0003 cents per second. So not a penny per second. How much would a penny per second be? Now you guys got me thinking. It'd be $86 a day, wouldn't it? Because it's like 86,400. A penny a second times 86,400, because that's how many pennies in a day. No, it's $864 a day. Wow. So if you made, no, I did that wrong. 0.01 times 86,400. No, it is. It's $864 a day. So if you make a penny a second, maybe that's my goal. What is that? 864 times 365. It's a big chunk of change. 864 times 365. 315,000. That might be a new intermediate goal between 100,000 a month in dividend income to one of my longer term goals. Thank you for that. Yeah, thank you. Don't forget to thumbs up. That's awesome. But yeah, I'm gonna re-upload this video. I just don't think I'm gonna include. Maybe I will include all this stuff at the end. It'll be a long video, but yeah, man. I mean, it was like you're talking to Gen X here. It was like your Instagram post. I got like real up in my feelings because like if you guys don't follow Gen X yet, man, like you guys got to do it. This guy's got an insane portfolio. But you were talking about your shit. I just forgot what it was. Oh, your Goldman Sachs position. And I saw on Instagram you were like, yeah, it's good for $550 a year. And I was thinking like, oh, like you have a new part, or you added a couple shares to your Goldman Sachs, so now your total portfolio is $550 a year. And I was like, I mentioned that on I mentioned that on a comment, and you were like, no, man, like the whole portfolio yields way more than that. Like just my position in Goldman Sachs is $550 a year. I was like, what? I was like thinking, I was like, dude must have like 100 shares of Goldman Sachs, and I was like, that's like a $12,000-$13,000 position, because I think maybe it's more because they're like $200 a share, so it's like a $20,000 position. Like this dude's got some serious cash in Goldman, and it was like his 20th largest position. So like, dude, this dude's going stock by stock. And I'm talking about Gen X here, the guy in the comments section or the live chat. This guy's going stock by stock, straight up, just like tearing up the investment world, just like straight up just being like, yeah, this is my 20th investment, but yeah, 20th largest investment, but yeah, it yields me $500. Like this dude has got some serious cash. He's got some serious knowledge that he's gonna continue to unfurl. Like it's crazy. I was like flabbergasted, and I remember I was like shooting messages back and forth. I was like, initially when I read it, I was like, I thought he was being serious. Like I thought it was like, yeah, $500 for just Goldman Sachs, and I was like, nah, I misread that. I was like, he's probably talking about the whole portfolio. I was like, but if he was talking about just his Goldman Sachs position, I got to step my game up. And then I mentioned that in the comment, and he was like, no, man, like that is just my Goldman Sachs position. I make like $550 a year just in that. And I was like, I got to step my game up. Like I thought I was doing pretty well, and then I was like, your boy's got to step his game up. So, but yeah, looking forward to seeing what number 19 is, man. You got a pretty wild portfolio there, so definitely going to be interested. Oh man, I'm out of water. Any of you guys have any other questions? Curious. We've been going almost 2 hours. About hour and 50 minutes now, and might let's see. Do I feel like editing this video and putting it up tonight, or like waiting until tomorrow? I'll probably wait until tomorrow. And then I also have a video. A gentleman has been very patient with me, waiting for a second Grant Cardone. Dude, you're a baller. You got like 100 grand. Like, don't act like you ain't balling. And you're still young for sure. What was that to say? Oh yeah, he's been patiently waiting for my Grant Cardone videos to come out, and I taped it. For some reason, I just don't like it, and not the product, the video that I made, and I've been like unwilling to upload it. So I feel bad because anyway, Catherine, I'm just excited that you're here. You know how many women don't come to my channel? Like, I'll show you guys the analytics. Like, I even made I love women that invest. Like, there's a woman in my office that, and I hope she's like listening to this, but so let's see. Where's this? Yeah, going to analytics here. But yeah, like the amount of females that come to this channel is absurdly sad. It's sad. Why? Yeah. So like, holy crap, it went up. This is awesome. It used to be 0.05. So like, it's real sad. Like 1%. I think it's you and all good that show up. But yeah. Anybody else have any questions? I'm curious. For some of you guys that have been quiet, there's 12 of you in here, of which I know that are speaking 4 of you. Gen X, Catherine, my boy Stevie, and passive income investor. Yeah, it's crazy, man. I don't know if that is what it is. I just feel like there are women that are interested in finance, and I just don't know if it's because, and I'm not trying to, say YouTube is wrong, but I hope that it's because that there's literally 99% of men coming to my channel. It's not YouTube's algorithm purposely pointing it on men. But the chat where I was responding to Matt Money saying you will blow by me once you get to the 40s didn't show in Matt's chat. Oh, really? There's a different... huh. So the WhatsApp group has been very varied. Anyway, but yeah, so going back to finish that last piece, I just hope that it's not eliminating the female market in YouTube, because I believe that this is all beneficial, and I'm glad I'm not the only one. But so in that respect, I'm hoping that it's the fact that maybe women just aren't interested and that I have a skewed view. But I mean, I went to a women in finance seminar, and there was a whole room full of, I would say, 300, 400 women, and it was a pretty big piece of the organization that was there in terms of mostly being women, and then there was men like myself supporting, and yeah, I was just like, I mean, I knew that there were women interested in finance, and I'm not trying to downplay that, I guess. I was just like really enthused, and it got me hyped up that there were so many women, and I finally see them, because most of the time I guess I talk finances with men, and because generally I guess I eat more lunch with men, with the guys at work, and so women that I hang out with at work and are friendly with at work, that I saw them there, and it was really energized me, and know that I can talk to more people about finance, and it just doesn't show in the analytics, and it somewhat bothers me, and I made a community post about it, but still has yet to change, but I guess it has somewhat, because it was at 0.05 or 0.5 rather percent, and it's going up to 1.1. So, but in terms of what I like to discuss in the WhatsApp group, so it's really what people are up to. It's still something that is in its infancy. So I think what I want to do is I want to get it to about 25 people and stay there for a couple days and see. But there are some plans that I have with the channel, with the WhatsApp group, with what I'm doing, and it all plays into the automated piece and the automated dividend tracker. And it's more about it's less about strictly making video content, but more about how I can focus my life on the value that I can bring to others. And I think this is going to get real deep, so I apologize if this is way more than you wanted to know. But I've been listening a lot to motivational speakers, and it's not just like Grant Cardone and stuff like that. It's like people like Jim Rohn and personal development coaches, and what they talk about is not every day you shouldn't be thinking about like, what am I doing? You should be thinking more along the lines of, what am I becoming? And for me, it's really trying to help others, whether that's through my day-to-day job, and I wish I could talk more a little bit about that, because I think that is something where I help not just other people around me, but also the world get to what they need to do. But also I think that this also plays into who I am and who I become as I continue to grow older, and that is helping people, continuing to help people become their better selves, whether that is through what I do on a day-to-day basis at my W-2 income, or what I do in my personal time with my personal hobbies and my personal side businesses like I do on YouTube and things like that. So it's not, I'm not saying that I'm not going to continue to do YouTube. I think YouTube is something that is extremely important, but I think that is also a gateway to helping me help others even more so. I think that some things that I've seen is also is not necessarily saying that this is going to happen, but coaching, having more conversations with people rather than just strictly making videos, and really one of the things I've also thought about is taking Series 63 in the past and becoming a financial advisor, and that's not off the table either. Maybe the window's closed because I'm kind of busy, and if I really wanted to do that, I could set aside time, but maybe I don't necessarily need to, and I can continue down the path that I'm going. But anyway, I'm not trying to stop doing YouTube by any means. I think that YouTube is just a gateway to allowing me to introduce myself to other folks, and if that means going through WhatsApp or going through and doing Google Hangout chats with a group of people to have more in-depth conversations rather than strictly making videos, I think that that's better. And that's why, in all honesty, the reason why I never did live streams up until about a month ago is because I just didn't know how. And while I consider myself very technology literate, I think it was just like one of those things where I was just like, I'm just going to look at dividends instead, like, screw it. And I finally sat down and I was like, you know what, I want to do a live stream. I'm tired of this one-way conversation where I'm just like spitting out information. I think that, and you guys probably notice this just from the live chats, I think it's a lot more fun, and there's a lot more information to be had, and I get to go on more of a free conversation when I have these live chats, rather than strictly just being like very personable, or not very personable, very professional about the video that I'm doing right then and right there. I don't think that I come across well in those videos. I personally believe that these live chats are way better, and you guys can say yes or no. On the live chat, you can be like, yeah, I agree, I like these live chats, and I feel like I can get to know you a lot better, and I personally think that your presentation style like this is way better than the way you come across on your videos. And I'm not saying that my videos are bad. I think that I've watched some of them and I've been like some have been like, wow, maybe I shouldn't have really said that, or I could have said that better or articulated that better and come across differently, been more professional about the videography and stuff like that. But overall, I'm satisfied with the videos that I put out, but I think that this is better content in my opinion. And to kind of move forward with that, I don't do consulting on Skype, but it's something that I've kind of contemplated, not trying to do that, because I don't know how much that gets in with laws, but I think that there is ways to help people by formulating a community and organizing a community. And I think that is kind of what I'm trying to do with the WhatsApp group. And so hopefully I didn't really reveal too much, but I think if you're able to formulate a community and kind of do what Ian's doing, I do like what Ian's doing on Facebook, but I think the thing that I want to do in the WhatsApp group, to be 100% honest, is people help guide each other, hear multiple opinions. I'm not the be-all, end-all, and I will be the first person to acknowledge that I'm still learning just like everybody else. But I think what I can do and I am able to do is lead others and help organize us as a community. And that is, I think, what I'm doing, and that's what I think I'm best at doing. I'm not going to break waves or do anything, and I'm still developing myself, but I think that this WhatsApp group will be helping each other more so, and hopefully it is beneficial. And I guess those of you that are in the WhatsApp group, I think somebody was in here earlier, Amit. I think I don't know if it's Amit or Amit. I hope I'm not mispronouncing his name, but it seems like he's been really taking to it. And there's a lot of people that, some of people have been quiet in the WhatsApp group, and maybe they're just busy. But it seems like other people, really they reach out. Like Paul, he's been reaching out, and Amit's been really verbal. Anthony's been really verbal in the WhatsApp group. So really hoping, and it's something relatively new. And there's another person that I take a little bit of business advice from and watch what he's doing, and it's really admirable. And I'm trying to do what he does with a twist. I don't like really what he's doing 100%, but I respect him, and it works for him. And I'm trying to see what I like in what he does and tweak it slightly to make it fit what I want to do and take where I want to take myself and my, I guess, businesses, I guess you could call them, my groups. But I agree, doing meetups would be cool. I think at the moment it's pretty difficult to do meetups when I have less than 3,000 followers, and that's not an excuse. I just think that eventually it needs to grow slightly. But if you asked me 3 years ago if I would have close to 3,000 followers on YouTube, or subscribers rather, I'd be like, maybe. But yeah, it's been pretty cool. I tell some people, I'm like, yeah, I got 2,800 subscribers on YouTube. They're like, really? Like, that's crazy. I think it's a big jump from like 1,000, or from like 200, 300 to 2,800, and then I think it really gets pretty crazy. Starting to get pretty exponential, like a couple people joining every single day. But yeah, I'd like to do meetups, but I think Ian has a little bit more of a subscriber base. And hey man, if people want to come to Trinidad and hang out, I got a couple bedrooms they can stay in if I meet you and I'm like, hey, this guy seems cool enough. I don't really have anything of too much value. All my valuable stuff is locked away in a safe somewhere, so back in Pennsylvania. So yeah, if you guys want to come meet me down here in Trinidad, but Maybe sometime during the Thanksgiving time and Christmas time, I'll be in the Northeast United States visiting family and friends. So more than happy to meet up if people are interested. So I'll definitely extend that. And I appreciate that. Word of advice. And also maybe passive income investor. If you're in town in Toronto, on is that Sunday or is that Monday? Sunday night, the 27th of October, maybe we could do a joint meetup and get some drinks and chat and grab some food and discuss some ideas. And I'd also, if I can get you to commit on this live stream, either you or Gen X or both of you, more than happy, or anybody on this chat for that matter, if you'd like to do a Google Hangout one day and do a live stream where we're kind of doing what we're doing now, but doing it through Google Hangout, and we're able to kind of have a joint live stream together, and so that way you and I can ask each other questions, have a great conversation, and then people on the right can ask us questions, and so if you guys are interested, let me know, and either message me on Instagram or just say yes, and we'll figure it out, get it together. And dude, maybe you're just saying that because I'm putting you on the spot in front of like 5-10 people. How many we got? Yeah, 10 people, but I'd love to do that. And then what is Ian doing on Facebook? So Ian created a group, and so what he does is it's basically just like a separate sort of thing than YouTube. So it's like a YouTube comment section, right? But on Facebook, you can create things that are like groups, yeah? And so what he does is he created this group, and he has to accept you into the group. And he's got quite a bit of followers in there. I'd say it's probably like 1,000 people or maybe more. And what some people do is some people do the unethical or silly thing, and they'll like try to promote their own YouTube channels. And it's like, come on, man, if we're gonna do that on YouTube. Don't like come into someone's like specific Facebook group that is made specifically by them and try to hijack their followers. If it's like a collab, I'm all about that. But like, anyway. But then there's some people that strictly, what? Okay. I can understand. Gen X, I'm responding to your comment in the live chat where you're basically like, I have to wait till you finish the full portfolio review. Do you do one a week? I forget. How often do you do it? But anyway, going back to what I was saying, he is basically facilitating something that I'm kind of doing in my WhatsApp group, which is like kind of leading people to help guide each other. And so people will be like, hey, I'm going to sell this or buy this, what do you think? And so anyway, I think one of the things that I want to do that I noticed that Ian's not doing, and I'm not saying it's Ian's fault, I think it's just natural, is I'm fearful. There's two types of people that I want to hang out, or not hang out with, but there's like almost two different types of wavelengths that I notice on my channel. There's people that, I guess there's really three. There's people that are just starting out and need that guidance, and really want to learn and maybe get involved and see if dividend growth investing is something that they'd want to do. And then the second is people that are haters, and I'd say it's maybe 10-15% of the population that is just like, this is stupid, I don't agree with it, just invest in Tesla or Apple, I don't agree with what you're doing. And that's understandable. It's not for you, that's fine. And then there's a lot of people, mostly people with other channels, that specifically like passive income investor and Gen X dividend investor, that have their own channels, but they're also Huge proponents of what I'm doing, and huge supporters of the whole dividend income community as a whole on YouTube, and they're all just trying to help each other. So asking, not leading questions, but trying to guide others and through their questions, and also trying to help each other out and formulate like a community. And so it's like, if it were me, what I would want to do almost is create kind of two groups where you could specifically, anyway, might be getting too much involved, but Brian Scott, what's going on? It'd be fun. Did you get my email? Not sure if the chat blocks it. I think it did, because I'm not seeing it. But if you do want to, cool. All right, man. Yeah, thanks for stopping by. I'm glad you were here for a long chat. So hopefully people are following you that are in the channel and on the live chat. And if they're not, check out my boy Passive Income Investor. He's doing big business, and he's got a great portfolio. Putting out videos every day, man. I don't know how you do it. So kudos to you. And they're not the crappy do it in one take videos like I make. So great work, and I hope you continue to keep it up. So somebody asked my opinion on platforms like M1 Finance. I like M1 Finance a lot. I actually opened one up recently, and even though I had 3M and Johnson & Johnson in another portfolio, I decided to open up an M1 Finance account just so I could see what it's like. My only complaint so far with M1 Finance is that they only have one buying window, and I don't know, something about like, I just want to, please check out Passive Income Investor. I just want to, straight up, when I want to invest in something, I want to make sure it's bought and not have to worry about it and what price it's at, and just like put it in my tracking workbook and just let it go so I can focus on like what I was doing. And so with M1 Finance, I'm like, okay, like I have to worry about if the stock shoots up 5% or overnight or something like that. And it's such like a small little thing, but that bothers me a lot. So so yeah, there's that. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm trying to think. So, been on now for just under 2 hours and 15 minutes. For those of you that are just joining, apologies that I think a lot of you are have been on for a while, but there's probably 5 or 6 of you that maybe come in and out. For those of you that are looking for the tutorial on the actual workbook itself, feel free to start at the beginning. The first 45 minutes of this live stream, we walk through it, and at the very tippy top of the live chat, and actually right now as well, I'll copy it over for us, and you can actually get the download here. And if you're curious how you are able to walk through it, there's some instructions in the description before you purchase, and also when you purchase, you'll get a README like I'm going to be showing up here on the screen right now. So just download it, and then you can extract the folder, and then when you're able to do that, you just upload to iCloud. And if you just scroll at the very beginning and watch from the beginning, I do it for you guys right in front of your eyes. So hey Stevie, I'm Siri thinks I'm talking to her, man. I'm talking to my brother Stevie. But really means a lot that you stopped by. You were on here for like 2 hours, so you were like the second person in here. So first person to say anything in the group chat. So really means a lot to me, brother. But hopefully you learned something, and let me know via text or something what you thought. So have a good night, sleep well, and stop getting to work so early. It's crazy. But anyway, unless you guys have any other questions, I think I'm going to sign off. It's almost 11 Eastern time, and I've been showing up to work later and later, and so got to make sure that able to see some folks in the office at the normal time, not stroll in half hour late. So I don't need to get there at a certain time, but it's nice to be there a little bit earlier so that way you can work with some folks. Some folks show up earlier and leave earlier, and I tend to show up a little bit later. So I'll give it another 5 minutes. If people don't have any other questions, I'm gonna shut her down and repost this video as a strict video rather than a live stream, so that way folks can check it out and see it. I think generally speaking, the live streams don't get the attention. So actually, I lose followers, subscribers when I do live streams. So crazy, but anyway, nobody has questions. I'll just shut it down before 10:50 p.m. Eastern. Maybe everybody already signed off. We got 9 of you, 10 minutes average. Average watch time, 156 playbacks. That's crazy. Yeah, if you haven't already, please like the video. It means a lot. I'll probably keep it up on live stream, but I'll also upload it. Otherwise, I'm just gonna think about what I want to do next with the portfolio and the businesses and the WhatsApp group, and yeah, so I can show you how I lose subscribers. I'm not trying to, attack anybody here, but if I go to videos and this video here is old. Or this, whatchamacallit's old. I have a beard now. I'm a grown-ass man. This picture's from like however many years ago. So monetization, limited. Huh. Anyway, I'll worry about that later. But let's take, for instance, this video and go to analytics here. And overview, where do I see it? Reach. Okay, so normally you have like subscribers, but like you can see I lost a subscriber in the first 2 days and then I gained one back. I didn't know. But there was another one where, let's see if this one, I've been doing a lot of live streams lately. Yeah, it's like lost 2 subscribers. So I posted it within a couple days. I lost 2 subscribers. Didn't go well. But yeah, generally these don't get the views either. Like 421 views, that's crazy. 759, that's crazy. I didn't know that was up to that, but anyway, yeah, so like the very first one too. So let's see, first live stream, analytics, I think I lost like 3 or 4. Yeah. So I lost like 3 subscribers in the first couple days. So I guess what people do is they like go to the video, and you know how you can like hit subscribe button. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, wink wink. But if you are on the channel and you're like, I don't like what this guy's saying right now, he's not good looking, I don't know, they generally hit unsubscribe. But then you'll have like crazy videos, like let's go to like, let's say my most viewed video from March 2017. It's got a lot of views. It's the most I have. From many, many moons ago. Oh, I thought this had subscribers. Oh, this is the last 28 days. So since upload time, you can see this video has got me 249 subscribers. So yeah, man, I hope it does too. I think the best thing that people can do is give word of mouth. And if you like this channel, you think this helps you, tell your friends, your family about it. I think the best way to grow a channel is through word of mouth. If you enjoy the channel, I hope that you think about your friends that would also enjoy learning about personal finance and things along those lines. So not trying to beg for subscribers, but like I said, my goal is to help those two groups of people, the people that want to continue to grow their dividend income and have that mindset shift already chosen, and it's something that they want to do with their lives, and they know that income investing is for them. And I also want to help the folks, and I want to be a leader and a organizer for those folks in that group. And I also want to do the same for folks that need to have their mindset shifted and understand personal finance, because it's not taught in schools. And I think that is something that is hugely undervalued in most education systems in the world. I was going to say the U.S. education system, but I think it's global education systems. Personal finance, generally speaking, isn't taught. And I'm not saying they need to do dividend investing, but I think as long as they understand that they can come up with answer five or six different questions and understand what might be for them, whether it's day trading, forex trading, what have you, I would love to help them understand that. If that gets them to their goal 5-10 years earlier, I mean, the benefit that 5-10 years would have to their life would be astronomical. And even if I can help 10, 15, 20 people, that could potentially be millions upon millions of dollars. So anyway, so minor things that I'm not doing that make a big impact to the viewing masses. So feel free to let me know, whether that's through Instagram or on this chat right now. More than happy to entertain or talk about maybe the minor things that I'm not doing. If you notice them, let me know. I'm coachable, and like I said, I'm here to serve the people, and I'm just a messenger and hopefully a organizer to continue people to do what they want to do and show them a light and a path. So hopefully they can take my perspective and maybe some other perspectives like Gen X perspective or passive income investor perspective, and formulate their own opinion that works for them. Maybe they answer one of those 5 questions that I talk about for starting your financial journey a little bit different. Maybe they're more risk averse, maybe they're more risk tolerant, and so they'll do swing trading rather than dividend trading, or dividend investing rather. So it is what it is. But anyway, I think I've gone on enough of a tangent. If you guys I'll check that out for the next one, for the next live stream, but it looks like there's a latency in streams. I think that's what I was checking earlier. Let's check. Output, maybe? Video? Oh, advanced. Stream delay. Maybe if I cut that off? I don't know. So let me know if that helps at all. If that cuts it down. But yeah, maybe that'll like speed it up, or maybe because it's already too late. I don't know. Who knows? Oh, and YouTube. Okay. I'll have to check that out. Maybe it's right now. Stream health, stream settings. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to check that. That's pretty cool. Hold on, let me, don't want to show you guys my desktop. Okay, well, I think I'm going to call it here. like I said, if you guys are interested in actually looking at and downloading the spreadsheet, look at the very top link here. I also posted it right here. I'll copy it again and post it here for you guys. Whoa, don't know what that is here, but if you guys are interested in downloading and learning about how to use this spreadsheet, you could always start from the very beginning of this live stream here and use the spreadsheet in the attached or in the link there. And for the first 45 minutes of this live stream, we walk through it step by step so you guys can get an idea as to how to monitor your day-to-day portfolio value automatically, not any change to you. See your dividend yield, your yield on cost, your complete gains that you're seeing, your total annual dividend yield, your future dividend yields, your goals, your total portfolio value, your total sector value, as you're seeing on the screen right now, your yield by sector, your total income by sector, so you can understand whether or not you're putting money into an overbalanced part of your portfolio, or if you should balance something into, say, financials or energy or materials or telecom. And that way you guys can understand where your money is going, where you're underbalanced, where you're under-diversified, and so you can focus more on making your portfolio the best it can be rather than focusing on updating your own spreadsheet that might not necessarily be as automated and as advanced as this. So really hope this video found you well, this stream found you well. Hopefully I answered your questions. If you have any other additional ones, follow me on Instagram. I'll post the Instagram tag here. And really excited because I used to say follow me on Instagram and nobody would really listen. Now it's starting to get a lot of traction and we are starting to have a lot of good conversations. And now when I post about like financial stuff on my Instagram stories, I don't have as many people being like, what are you doing? I have people that actually watch it and like actually interact with me. So it doesn't make me feel like a loser when it was just like my personal friends and they're like, dude, stop. So anyway, hope this video finds you well. I'll be posting this whenever I have some time to edit it. And I'll see you guys on the next video. And hopefully you guys get a lot of enjoyment and usage out of this dividend tracking, automated dividend tracking portfolio tool. And if you have any suggestions, let me know and I'll be glad to include it for you guys. It's got 6 years worth of experience of building and really, really proud of this tool. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. Hopefully you get a lot of usage out of it and let me know if there's any problems. I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great night.